really excited because today we have the opportunity to bring back a dear friend, Kiersten Todt, who recently served as the Chief of Staff at the United States government's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA. We are going to talk to Kiersten about the future of cybersecurity with quantum computing and AI, China as both our ally and adversary, using weapons like TikTok and fentanyl. And I have a lot of questions about TikTok as a person who can't seem to stop using it, and how the US government is going to think about regulating AI. So let's see what Kiersten has to say. Thank you for joining. I called this meeting, Jesse, I'm jumping right in. I called this meeting because we were talking like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and she was just leaving her position at the White House, which she will tell us what that is. And I said, you have to come on the podcast now that you're a citizen again, and wanted to really talk about it, whatever you all want to talk about, but specifically we were talking about AI and cybersecurity, but we don't have to talk about that.
Even before we get to that, and without obviously, not any sort of things we can't talk about, but just what threats do you see out there now? Last time we really spoke in depth about this, I think your perspective was slightly different. You've been in the White House a few times, but what new threats do you see on the horizon that maybe we don't know about?
Well, I think certainly China is out there, and I think we're a lot more open about what we're concerned about, critical infrastructure and what we see there. And also, I do think artificial intelligence are two of the primary threats that we're concerned.
Now, China is really the only other nation that has quantum computers. Do you see that as a realm of, even making the problems more complex?
Well, I certainly think what it reflects is that China's technological capabilities. And so when we're looking at these challenges, and to your point about threats are complex. They're both based on intentions and capabilities. And China has the intention of really being the dominant world power. And the way that is going to happen over the course of the next several years, decades, right now, as we see it, is through technology. And so technological capabilities are certainly there. But the other real important piece, and we talked about this a few years ago, is data, right? Data is the most critical asset. It's the most valuable asset. And China, for quite some time now, has been collecting and aggregating data, whether it has been, above board or whether it's by, stealing intellectual property. I think we even talked at the time about my concerns around TikTok early on, when everyone talks about this as an entertainment app, but it just aggregates an enormous amount of data. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going after or collecting it on you as an individual for who you are, but your demographic, your age, your race, where you live, what your behaviors are. All of that becomes so critical. And while that was a discussion that we had conceptually, now that's coming to fruition because artificial intelligence is only as good as the data that goes into it. So the entity that can aggregate that data, that has the most diverse and complex set of data, is, very simply put, not totally, clear, and it's not this linear path, but that will have some of the most advanced technological advances in artificial intelligence algorithms. Here
in America, we really, for the most part, think in 4-year terms. Xi, it seems, is sort of modeling himself on the Ming Dynasty, which is a much longer, 3,000-4,000-year-old kind of idea in terms of, he's playing this game for the long haul. Do you look at it and think that that's at the core, a difference in the way that we see the world and adds the complexity that we're fighting this sort of permanent resident?
It's a great way to look at it and to frame it, Jesse, because I've often talked about when we look at China as a threat actor and the patience that China has. It can sit on a network. When we see China as a malicious actor, it can sit on a network for, hundreds of days before it chooses to do something. There is this interlude between access to the network and when you actually capitalize on something. And that patience is always something that we as Americans, tend not to relate to. And I think your point about the dynasty, the long-term investment, this continuum is a really important one, because that is, I think, a real asset to how China looks at these issues and to its leadership, and the fact that it is looking at it as a whole versus, we do tend to see things much faster. We're very much about real time, our 24/7 news cycle, all of these elements just talk to our need to get something fast and quick.
Can I go back just to TikTok for 1 second? Because I think I've now completely addicted. Okay, Jesse got me into it. I just want to say.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've
Yeah,
never even used that.
I was
app.
waiting
What are you
for
talking
who was
about,
gonna admit to it.
No, and so
What, I don't know what you're talking about.
okay. Anyway, the thing is, for me, is that it is kind of startling around, first of all, the addiction of it, like the innocuous, you just keep going. But now, obviously, what I think the public maybe doesn't really understand, or some people don't understand, it's not the fact that they're serving you up things, it's that they're learning about you. It's not the thing that you're looking at, it's the information about you holistically that later could be used, against us as a society. Could you explain that, though? I think it's
Sure. And I think it's two-pronged, because I think the first piece, to your point, is it's understanding human behavior and data points. A 25-year-old white male in this city tends to do this in the morning, all of it. And so it's an understanding of how people operate. It's PII, not necessarily connected to your name. And, everyone's like, why would they care about me? Well, they don't really care about you for your first and last name on a social security card or birth certificate. What they care about is understanding, can we get broader aggregate data about your demographic so that we're getting more information and intelligence about how people behave? Because that feeds into algorithms and other efforts if you're looking at how to influence human behavior. And so the other piece to this is it's also about taking that knowledge and then adding in essentially the advertisements. If you are political, and I mean more behavioral advertisements, we learned in Facebook that there were bots that if you talked about being anti-gun and after a school shooting, you would start to see pro-gun messaging, because that would make you mad and angry, and then you would engage, right? We saw that information. So similarly now with TikTok, if they start to see behaviors, then you're going to start to get data that's getting pushed in different ways about not just your behavior, but potentially, depending upon where it's coming from, different ways to incite your emotion. And I think that, when we see this, that is the other critical piece to this, is it's understanding how all of this can influence us. I also think it's really important. Tristan Harris, who co-founded the Center for Humane Technology, he was part of the team that put together the social documentary. He has talked about how China doesn't allow its youth, I think it's 14 and under, to be on TikTok for more than 40 minutes a day. And the 40 minutes is actually curated to look at nationalism, talk about museums, science and research. So to me, there's no better indication of the awareness of what China's intention of TikTok is than to look at how it's curated for its own youth and the appreciation of that addiction and how our minds are getting so influenced by it.
A lot of this battle is going to be, and is, in the shadows. I, as a consumer, am not really aware of, the battle between China and America in terms of this technology. Now, one of the areas that I do see it clearly demonstrated, or maybe, I'm not even sure, we work on a thing called Song for Charlie, which deals with fentanyl abuse in the United States. And when we do that, you hear a lot of things, right? And one of the things you hear about is that the fentanyl is actually manufactured in China, and then it's sent to Mexico, and it's, brought up here, and it's made for pennies, the fentanyl is made for pennies. And the only thing you can think about that is that, it's a pernicious force sending in, it kills people.
Disruptive. Yeah, a disruption.
Well, and it just kills people. And, I sit back and we work on this thing, how do we do counseling and help people to not take it? But I wonder about, is that really how this game is going to be played? Is China really both our partner and underneath it all fighting this battle just to destroy us?
I think that when you look at the world stage, there's always this tension between the need for partnership and what are the intentions of the nation. I mean, if China is looking for dominance, then that is a challenge. And so one of the other national security threats is that relationship between China and Mexico, because we're separated from China by an ocean. We're not separated from Mexico. And so the fentanyl piece, I mean, I think we had talked early on My first job out of grad school was in the White House Drug Policy Office, and we were looking at OxyContin then. So when you see how, from a behavioral perspective, just the challenges right now with drug use and drug abuse, it is an element to this battle because it is lethal. I mean, I would venture to guess that each of you has had first or second degree awareness of people who have died or been impacted by it. I certainly have. I think that, the drug issue in and of itself, it's more than just border crossings. It's more than just a nation state threat. Like, we as a nation have not figured out how to stop this. But to answer your question about the tension between an ally and an adversary, that is sort of part of global dynamics. But the challenge is, how do you manage that in a way for good and for progress? And, we talk right now a lot that we have to have a meeting of the minds with China. But as with any entity that is competitive with you, you always have to be eyes wide open. It doesn't mean that progress and partnership can't happen, but we have to prioritize what we think is necessary for not just our own national security, but for global security. The other piece to this with China is we're not the only ones that are dealing with this. We need to be bringing, economic partners, like-minded nations to the table with China and others so that we're able to have more of a global discussion around these issues.
So you were just talking about Tristan Harris, when he first left Google, he set out to, the idea of ethics in technology, shouldn't all technology be created to, empower human lives ultimately? I think he might say it a little differently, but that's the basic idea. As we start this new endeavor of artificial intelligence, any technology really can be co-opted for good or for bad. And we do see at the moment that, as long as I've read about artificial intelligence, when I was a child to now, it's like the goalpost keeps changing, of what it actually is. And, at this moment in time, we see it really reflected in ChatGPT, either with OpenAI or at Bing itself, which are interestingly using the same models. They built them on the same models, but they get very different answers depending on which one you use. Where do you see this battle coming, and how are we going to fight it? And what should we be thinking about as people who are not, in the actual battle,
Well, I think there's, lots of different pieces to this. I mean, so interestingly, Tristan Harris did this roadshow with his partner at the Center for Humane Technology about AI back in March, essentially talking through the concerns. And he used big statistics and data, things in the scope of, 50% of all researchers of AI believe there's a 10% or more likelihood that it will cause human extinction. And he got some criticism for it. But I think, what he has said, rightly so, is, we didn't get in on social media early enough. And then when we started talking about it, it was too late. And everyone said it's too much a part of what we're doing. His whole objective is, how do we get in? And he's like, they wrote the letter with Elon Musk about, pausing. And he said, and I appreciated this, he said, I wish that I had sort of talked about it being a course correction or a redirection, because this idea, I absolutely agree with him, is this reckless innovation and sort of innovation at speed is the great concern. And, there's obviously a lot of discussion around whether or not ChatGPT should have been released in November. The different discussions in rooms where you hear words like frantic and figure it out, et cetera, and Google holding off. Not that, there's anybody who's right or wrong in this. I do think Microsoft came out way early on it. And now what you're seeing is every single company is trying to figure out what their AI capabilities are, and they are rushing. And we're back to first to market trumping secure to market. So what I hope is that we can create guardrails, industry and government together, again, on a global stage, that it's not talking about pausing innovation. Somebody was saying to me, if we pause anything, we'll get a thank you letter from China, right? Like, you guys take your time while we speed ahead from anybody else. But the key here is, how does industry and government work together to really think about what does innovation look like, and what does secure innovation look like? What are the guardrails that we need to put in place now to ensure that we're still managing the process and the process isn't managing us?
Do you see a world in which there is a partnership with China and the United States around this? I mean, is it always just going to be competitive? So how do we get those global partnerships that are going to be required for the guardrails?
I think that, you're starting to see conversations happen because a lot of industry relies on China. If you look at some of the pharmaceutical companies, they have huge manufacturing companies in China. A lot of their ingredients come from there. So the hope right now is that you start to see senior leaders working with our own government and across other governments say, we've got to come to the table to just set some ground rules. Now, there are people who hear that and laugh and say China's not going to follow the ground rules. But we've got to start somewhere. We've got to have those conversations because we can't keep this in an isolated discussion and bubble where no one's talking to each other, because the risks for what this could be and the challenges are far, far too serious, as they always have been. But with every advance comes a greater increased risk.
So with Facebook itself, they tried to have moderation, not very effective. Then we saw that with Elon taking over Twitter. It seems like it's filled with all trolls now, you know. And with ChatGPT, we see another version where we're trying to ban words, right? And if there's certain things you type in, it'll say, no, we don't do anything in that area. But the reality is that those are very easy to get around. It's all in how you phrase the questions. And, in the end, ChatGPT is really just a mirror. It mirrors back to us. It's not a thinking machine. So how do we think about guardrails? I know there's this meeting coming up, I think in London, that was just announced, where they're going to have lots of people coming to it. And there's going to be a TED AI coming up. And I think we're going to see a lot of these meetings. But how do we focus how we might make more effective language models around, what we're trying to do with OpenAI, and as we break into newer models and different interactions, I can definitely see how we could sit in a room and go, okay, here's the ethics of AI, but how do we implement that?
Right. And I think, there's some of these elements where the genie's out of the bottle and it's hard to put it back in. ChatGPT's out there, to your point. The concern that we have a lot is with generative AI. So the ability for AI to educate itself. I mean, so, there are plenty of examples where, AI is programmed to anticipate the next word. And now it's learning it's like learning Persian, literally, or it's been programmed to understand and do algebraic expressions. And then all of a sudden it's doing chemistry research. So that generative AI piece. So we are still at the place. I mean, the difference from where we are now to what happened with Facebook is Facebook came to the security game way too late. And so much had happened that it was very difficult. And they were still kind of bolting it on and not really looking at it as a function of the core processes. With AI, the guardrails right now are, what are we looking to do? I mean, what are the ethics around it? Where are the limits and the restraints, but the capabilities? And it's also how we have to think about these issues differently. I was doing an event at Vanderbilt University, and there was a professor who said, I can give a problem to my students, tell them not to use ChatGPT, and then punish them when they do. Or I can give them a very complex problem, say, let's look at how the algorithm is breaking it down, what's right, what's not. So the other piece to this is, how do we shift our thinking so that we are managing the research and the algorithms, and we are putting those restraints however we're defining them. And I think that's where, obviously, to your question, the big debate is, like, what do these guardrails look like? And what is it again? Is it about ethics? Is it about generative AI, what we're achieving? And are there some set of standards that we have to follow? Can we create a global standards body for artificial intelligence that companies have to feed into? Do we create a body that actually reviews some of this work? And so I think that's the piece. The concern right now is that companies are just kicking out AI capabilities just to keep up. And that's where we can lose this quickly, because they see it as such a competitive need, not even an edge, but a competitive need. And it has happened so fast.
When you look at, Elon signs the letter saying, let's pause, AI, and he acts like, you hear him talks about AI as an existential threat all the time. But in fact, he owns the biggest AI company in the world and is doing, research all day long, every day with Tesla, So, I mean, I think about that and I wonder, well, is that disingenuous? Is his concern a legit, do we understand, or is it opaque, what these companies are doing around AI?
I think that I don't know that I would translate Elon to all CEOs. I mean, he's a unique CEO, but I think your point around what industry leaders are doing, but this is also one of those moments where you have to make a decision about your responsibility to really the world and the digital economy. So it wasn't cost effective for car companies to start including airbags and seatbelts and different conversations about, well, that became regulation of that, or crushable steering wheels, different elements. But that's kind of where we have to be now. And so where does the government come in to say you have to start doing this? The challenge will be government needs to do that with industry. You can't just have government set up a bunch of regulations that it kind of creates with the researchers in a box. We've got to have those conversations so that it's done in partnership with industry and government leaders, so that what we put forward is both practical and palatable for the step. And it also doesn't have to be the home run out of the gate. This may have to be a sequence. We just have to make sure that we're able to build off of the foundation so that we don't miss a key piece and we've put ourselves in a position where there's no going back.
How do we even think about the guardrails? How do we even know for a technology that we even know what it can do? How are you even going to put a framework around it?
Well, I think there's enough research around, we can go to the extreme. So what is the most we think AI can do, which, quite frankly, goes to that place of it just takes over, choose your sci-fi movie, the machines take over, to this other place where we're just balancing it across needs and what we're looking at to help advance technology. What you hear from a lot of researchers is we've always had big, scary advances, right? And they'll kind of just sort of soften this to say this is just one of those other big scary advances, but we've always managed to figure that out. I think the capability, and most people would say the capability for AI is a lot bigger than what we've seen in the past, but is its advancement and disruption on par with others that we've had? And you can kind of evaluate that in your head. But I think the guardrails are about what do we want this technology to be and to do, and how do we work together to get it to that place and to set some of that framework for understanding and learning. I think the key, though, here is sometimes we're already looking at solutions. We also have to ask the questions first. What are we solving for immediately? And what are we solving for down the road? And there's just, again, never been a more urgent time for industry and government domestically, but really globally to come together, because cybersecurity, AI doesn't know geographic boundaries, yet we tend to legislate and to create policies according to geographic boundaries. And this is one of those cases where we really have to get out of that mindset and appreciate how it all is interconnected and the interdependencies of this advancement.
It's almost like making a UN, or maybe it's even a part of the UN. Me and Priscilla worked on a, what do they call that, Priscilla? The Compact on Disability Rights at the UN. And this was a very interesting, difficult, fraught negotiation, because the only way they were going to approve it was if all disabilities were included. And, so there are accommodations. Somebody with intellectual disabilities wants their parents in the room. A deaf person does not want that. So there has to be compromise between the groups in order to accomplish this task, in order to get that. And they ultimately got it through. I think it took them a very long time, like 10 years or something, to get that through. But, when I think about COVID as a first test of a world where we're trying to foster cooperation amongst nations, and, certainly that was about as existential a threat as you could get in its time. Yeah. And, I look at that as maybe a failure of our hopes for the environment. Do we see AI as the next existential threat on the horizon and a possible place where we could foster cooperation amongst nations?
So I think so. I think it's as good a time as any. I think with the threat of China also, these things can come together in a positive way. I think that there are opportunities with AI that, you talk about the work that you were doing with disabilities, neurodiversity leads to less biased data. So one of the efforts that I worked on in my previous role was disability equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And if we're creating a more inclusive workforce to do technological innovation, we will create better technology. And part of our concern about the data that goes into AI is ensuring that it's not biased to all the systemic issues that we have, that we're actually reviewing that data. And that's the other piece to this. When you look at frameworks for guardrails, I think a really important place to start is data provenance, understanding where data originates. If we can do a better job creating standards around data, then what we put into the algorithms and all of that, it's not everything, but it's a really important first step, because for a long period of time, we were just very concerned about getting data. We weren't looking at its intention. We weren't looking at its source, how good it was. What are the standards? Was it, it got scraped from the web, from social media? So data provenance standards, I think, are a really important place to start with AI, because if we know that the data has a level of standards, of trustworthiness, so we can say, I trust this data, then we're ensuring that the foundation for AI is much more solid than if we don't pay attention to those factors.
You two are talking about a good world, a world we want to believe in. I'm also, though, thinking about the dark web and the nefarious and the kind of, as you said, the genie's out of the bottle. We don't know what is also going on beneath the surface, to Jesse's metaphor, beneath the ocean, with regards to AI and disruption. And what are I think people need to be aware, what are those potential threats? And what were some of the things that you were thinking about in terms of AI and their threats, existential threats?
Well, I think there are, plenty of examples where AI was activated to create, how do you create elements that are healthy for humans to ingest, right? You can put these different in R&D. You change one element of the equation, and it's what can kill humans, right? There is this counter. And then, you've looked at, it's even just unfortunate that it's not about the journalism industry or anything, but when they're testing this, they'll test to sort of the worst parts of humanity. Can it do things that are really bad as far as teaching kids how to, make a bomb, right? There are these analogies to how,
Yeah, but it's even worse than that, because it's like you could just you could turn the power grid off. You can shut down, if you shut down an elevator in a hospital, people die, and it's like, there's just all these places in transportation. You could turn off airplanes. You can, you really could.
That's cybersecurity. Or is that related to AI as well?
I think AI can poke through all those holes and find the vulnerabilities, and it can do it. The faster the computer, the faster it can do it.
To your point, Priscilla, there's a cybersecurity foundation to that on the power grid and all that. But I think to your other question about what can AI do, that you can literally just program it to do bad things, right? That's that, whether it's making something that's bad, teaching how to do something easily, there's just this easily accessible, essentially encyclopedia, to use a very antiquated term, for how to do bad things. And that's what we're trying to manage, so that you can't just use it to have somebody else, an entity, a machine, something else, create and figure this all out for you, right? How do I? And then fill in the blank, right? I don't like to always go down these roads of all the, the horrible things, but just imagine what you could put after how do I? And anything that's there could be essentially down the road programmed for artificial intelligence. So that's what we're trying to stop. And that's what we're trying to manage. Now, with everything, we can't manage and mitigate every risk to that. But the point is, how do we set up an infrastructure and a foundation so that some of those things aren't even possible, but it also becomes very difficult to do?
I was just thinking about the educational part, and the three of us have talked in the past around, it's about education. So I'm thinking specifically around, let's say, nefarious propaganda or whatever. AI is now sending you information, or for example, the New York Times writer who had that conversation with Sydney.
Yeah, right.
How are we going to get savvy? How do we educate people to know, actually, that wasn't a real conversation, or that thing that is talking to that person that is talking to you is not actually the person talking to you. That is a puppet of another country, a nefarious.
Right now you could kind of do that, but for a very short period of time. As these language models get better, you won't be able to tell.
No, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Well, it's the critical thinking piece, right? And unfortunately, we have already demonstrated a vulnerability to not be critical thinkers through social media, and just to sort of believe what came at us. So to your point, there is this necessary discussion and education that has to happen.
This, to a certain extent, is moving faster than law, so who looks after this problem? Is it the CIA? Is it the FBI? Is it, is there have to be a new force that gets created? The problem is it can easily outwit us and just move to 156 companies in 1 second, and we don't have laws that can travel through all of that. So it's like, how do we start to think about how we can protect ourselves as a nation?
Well, I mean, there are several efforts that the United States government is undertaking. There's a National Security Council effort. The Department of Homeland Security has one. Everyone is thinking about it. That doesn't always translate into the action that you're talking about, but that's the intention, right? And I think that certainly it will, which are, depending upon where the threat is, depends on who needs to weigh in. So certainly if it's legal and law enforcement, the FBI is right there. If we're looking at how to manage the policies to mitigate this and how to bring the world together, that's the National Security Council. That's also the Department of State with its new bureau around emerging technologies to work on global diplomacy for technology. And that's a key element to this. So bringing these bodies together, because there are so many different components. So we have to organize ourselves to understand both who is responsible for the prevention, who's responsible for the protection, the remediation, the recovery, all of those elements within government. And I think that it will fall along a similar lines to cybersecurity, because it's in the same, not completely, it's not going to be a direct mirror image, but there'll be a lot of the same people in play and the entities and the organizations. And the good news is they do have the partnerships globally with those countries and the cyber bureaus and technology to be thinking about this. And everybody is thinking about this right now. There is a concern for what this could be. And so we can learn from each other. The EU tends to be out there a little bit sooner. They did it with GDPR, with the privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, being able to work with them based on what we're seeing in other entities and organizations gives us a bit of a step forward and the ability to preempt the challenges. What we really are trying to avoid in real time is a situation that gets out of control, that we're not able to manage and roll back. And I do think social media is a really important parallel, because it started as, technology for good. And then for all sorts of reasons, we saw how others, I think, Priscilla, this was one of your other questions. I mean, I often say, why did we not anticipate that social media could be weaponized for an election, right? We as a nation, and really as human nature, we are really good at responding and reacting, because when something happens, we bring all forces to bear to make sure that we're going to address it. What we are not great at is not prevention necessarily, but preparation, in the sense of, how do we prepare for something that would destroy us? How do we stretch our minds to say, what is the worst possible situation? Okay, now let's break it down and figure out how we're going to manage that. And I think that when we look at AI, we do have to have some of that existential thinking. What's our biggest fear? Now, what are the pieces there? What are those elements that if we can truly make sure don't exist, then we've reduced the risk of that outcome?
It's so hard to imagine the worst, or even the best for that matter, that something could be. It's like after 9/11, it's like, nobody could have imagined that. And then the day after, as you know better than anybody, because you were there, it's like, okay, now you go into the office and what are we going to do? I mean, can we get better than that? I mean, can we get better than the day after 9/11 and what you went through then? As a lot of Americans?
Well, so I was working in the Senate on 9/11, but I had been asked earlier that summer to do a hearing on critical infrastructure protection by Senator Lieberman, which was scheduled for September 12th, 2001. So 9/11 happened, and we ended up going forward with that hearing. And it was Senator Lieberman who said we should have a Department of Homeland Security, when no one was really putting those words together. Those were communist terms, but we were working off of a commission called the Hart-Rudman Commission, which was looking at these different elements. And I think, Jesse, to your question, what was interesting about 9/11 is if you talk to those who were in the White House and working counterterrorism, they were expecting something to happen against the United States, but what they weren't expecting is for it to happen on the homeland. So that was that stretch of thinking. That was that stretch of imagination. And so when we think about artificial intelligence, it's sort of like we can't think of it in the linear ways of how can technology hurt us? But if we're looking at how we stretch to vulnerabilities and opportunities, what does that look like? And it's that type of creative planning and thinking that I think is so critical right now.
It's interesting that you bring up the creativity, because there's a show on TV. All I do is watch television in my free time, as Jesse knows.
Try and cut her free time down as much as possible. But,
Anyway, my son.
Either that or TikTok, right?
Yeah,
exactly. It's either that or TikTok. You can just see where my head is at. But anyway, there's a show. It's called Class of '09. And it's about a class that graduated in 2009 for the FBI. And now it takes place in the past, the present, and the future. And AI is now deployed across the FBI. That's what they use, Jesse, actually, as a way to solve crimes. But of course, they're taking it to the extreme, which is not only does it target, poorly, as some of our data does anyway, right, in terms of targeting different populations. This is like every single person is sort of a target, and they just go in and get them because they're only now listening to what AI is telling them. So every human being basically is a threat. And so you're sort of, I think this idea, though, of bringing in thinkers, creative writers, Neil Gaiman's of the kind of science fiction folks to come in and also anticipate in thinking about what are some of these terrible scenarios. It might be a good thing to bring a lot of different disciplines, but creativity into the solving this problem.
Well, and because if you think about a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in, I mean, movies and sci-fi and futuristic entertainment has really previewed a lot of this, right? And so, I mean, there is an element here of, we have to see this as creative. I mean, I think as we've talked about cybersecurity a bunch, to me, cybersecurity is not just about math and science and engineering. You've got to have this interdisciplinary approach because it's got to be creative thinking, psychology, sociology, human behavior. How do people think? How do they work? What are their inclinations? The algorithms for social media were all based on human behavior. It created very linear outcomes. But the same is true for artificial intelligence, which again is why, collecting data on individual action is so dangerous when you think about China doing that, because it's about how are we understanding human behavior? What is a person going to do if you give them this information? What is the likelihood that they'll go down this path versus this path? And that becomes very critical to how innovation and technology advances.
Yeah. I mean, I think America still has an advantage in terms of imagination. I think we're really good at that.
Absolutely.
Over China, which is better at other things, but not necessarily better at that. So I think at the moment, I don't even know if I'd call it an advantage. I mean, I wonder, what we're just trying to get to a place where people respect each other and go on innovating and doing good things,
I think, that piece is so critical. I mean, just coming off of this job that I had in federal government, one of the key elements and things that it's always been important to me, but I think was so dominant is how do you work with people and empower them to really access their aptitudes and be the fullest version of themselves, regardless of what they're doing? And how do we create civil discourse and dialogue? All of these, to the point about education, we have to teach our kids coming through schools, elementary, how to talk, how to disagree, how to really interact so that we are each trying to raise each other's potential. And I think, we've lost some of that for all sorts of reasons. COVID certainly not helping because everything was in a very one-dimensional plane, but it is, I do agree that we have a culture and a humanity that can be an asset and not an obstacle. Because we often talk about, we're an open environment that makes us more vulnerable to cyber attacks. It makes us more vulnerable in general, but we should really always remember why it's important and be able to capitalize and be able to feature and access the true advantages to an open environment and to that culture of civility and creativity as we're thinking about how we build out advances in innovation.
Well, as always, thank you, Kiersten.
Thank you to you both. Thanks to you both.
Yeah.
Great to see you again. And thank
Wonderful to see you both. I'm glad you guys are doing well in your family. Thank you so much.
Bye.